So you've just purchased a Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 4 and you're wondering, are there some accessories I could buy for this thing to not just keep it safe, but perhaps to have more usability and or fun with this device? Because of course this thing is not just a phone, right? It's a tablet, it's a multimedia station, it's a workstation, sometimes it's a full-fledged computer. So in this video, I'm going to give you guys some recommendations, my favorite accessories for the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 4. And let's start this off with one that is somewhat obvious, but perhaps it's one that you have not quite considered yet. With the advent of the Z Fold 3, this thing became capable of using an S Pen. Now, you can't use just any old S Pen you might have found laying on the street corner someplace. You have to buy the Fold edition because it's safe. The tip up there actually is safe for the foldable screen on this device. So they sell such a thing, the S Pen Fold Edition. This thing is going to be $49.99, not super duper expensive, and it's going to work really well with your Z Fold 4. With that pen, you get this nice little menu that pops out there, which will allow you to do all sorts of cool things like take a snip of the screen and then go ahead and draw on that snip that you've taken. You can take notes anywhere by holding down the side button and giving a quick double tap. At that point, you can do whatever you need to do. Take a quick note. You can actually minimize this as well to see what it is you're doing. Go back to it for some more notes. A lot of really good features here on the S Pen for the Z Fold. Now, there is also a S Pen Pro, which works on the Z Fold. It is $99, and it adds some additional features. You may have noticed in the settings on your Galaxy Z Fold, there is an area in the S Pen to allow you to do things like air action. So you can set your Fold down and click on the button, take a picture of yourself with your Fold. Well, you have to have the S Pen Pro to do that. Now, you may have noticed that my S Pen lives in a little silo on the back of my case, and that is because I am using the official Samsung standing cover with S Pen. It's really, really good, and for the price, right, for $80, you're getting that $50 S Pen plus a case, and the case is pretty solid and it has some really nice features. It uses a very weak, I guess it's an adhesive technically, on the front bit here. On the back, it just kind of snaps on. Your S Pen lives in there very, very firmly, much more firmly than you're going to probably expect. But you can also pop the pen off if you don't want to bring that with you and pop on the stand. And then that works really, really well if you want to use your Fold as a multimedia type station to prop the thing up. It is a very, very good case. I'm quite happy with it. I like the color of mine. It matches the color of my device very, very well, and it keeps that pen with me at all times as I do continue trying to use the pen more and more, trying to find reasons to use it. Sticking with cases for a minute, maybe you want something a little bit less bulky. I think this is actually a really good option too. This is a silicone case for $49, but as you can see, there's this little flap on the back there that you can reach your hand underneath, and that is very important on the Fold because it's not a one-handable device when it's opened up like a tablet. You can say I have my own solutions for that on the back there, which I will be talking about shortly. This reminds me a little bit of the silicone case for the Z Flip that my wife has, and she has abused this thing to a tremendous degree, and it has held up very, very well. So it's probably a good option there. Another case on the cheaper side that is a lot slimmer is this one here. I actually saw this on Reddit and thought it looked really good. These pictures make it look really, really wild, that carbon fiber pattern, but it doesn't look quite this crazy in real life. But apparently it is very thin. Wireless charging works fine through all of the cases I've just mentioned, but it works fine through this as well. And it's just a slimmer option. Now, speaking of slim, this is one I was very tempted to get myself, the slim standing cover. This is really cool. You would not think by looking at this that this has any kind of a stand in it, but in fact it does. They do an absolutely terrible job here of showing you this, but this whole section here has a hinge. It opens up and gives you a stand to prop the device up in. I truly wish they would have shown this in their imagery, but they have not. There you go. There's a good look at it there. Have to go to Google to find pictures. Samsung, do better. Maybe you don't like cases though. What about something like Soapy Guard? For $9.99, you can put several very, very nice looking skins on your device. If you want to go caseless, this is probably a really good option. If you want a bit of a thicker skin with maybe a better track record, honestly, Soapy Guard is very, very good. But a lot of you really, really like D-Brand. There's some more options there as well. It is more expensive through D brand. And honestly, you're going to notice a lot of the patterns are the same. Let's say, if you're looking for Swarm here, well, don't go Swarm, go Honeycomb Black on Soapy Guard and save yourself a decent amount of money. But either way, some good skins there. The teardown skin is quite cool to look at as well. So let's really quickly now talk about the things on the back of my Z Fold. I tweeted out a picture of this the other day and asked, is this too much? Because there's a lot going on back here, but I keep getting asked these questions. What are these things in the back of your phone? And I'm going to tell you what they are. So the first one here we're going to look at is one I get asked about the most. This one right here. It is called a sleek strip. And how it works is you push it up and it locks into place. And then all it does is it gives you a grip. This is not a stand. This will not hold up your phone. But what it does let you do is it lets you hold your phone in a one-handed fashion, right? And it works really, really well for that. It uses like a 3M adhesive and it is not going anywhere. The other one is a kickstand. And it opens up like that, and guess what? It is fantastic. Whether you are setting it sort of like this up at an angle or setting like that, which is almost straight on, it works really, really well. And again, it is sturdy. It is not going anywhere. Let's look at the listings here. The sleek strip is $19.99. Pretty solid. It does not get in the way. If you don't have this guy on it, just the sleek strip, this will still wirelessly charge in my experience. If you add the kickstand on there for $11, it no longer wirelessly charges with this case and these things on it. Keep that in mind. So unfortunately, they do not include a charger in the box anymore. I'll tell you the one that I've been using that I really, really like. It is very small and very compact. It is the Ugreen Ace Cube 30 watt. This thing will charge at full charging speed, which is great. I think this thing tops out at 25, so that's actually more than enough. $19.99 is very, very good. It is a very small charger, and it's actually in my bedroom. I would go grab it, but just trust me, it's really little, and it's really, really good. Another thing I love having around, though, to see what my charging speeds are, is this right here. This is a C-to-C cable that has a display on it. I actually do have one of these here right off screen, and you can see there it is. And if I plug it in real quick, you should get a little readout there that's going to say I'm charging at about 14 watts right there from what it's plugged into. So that is really, really cool to have as well. Sticking with charging though, this thing can charge wirelessly at 15 watts. Samsung has their own for $59. It's a little bit on the steep side, but if you want to keep it to Samsung only, that is an option. They do also have this trio charger, which is cool if you're like me and you wind up with a set of earbuds, a watch, and a phone. Charge them all at once. I believe it stops at 9 watts of charging, though. If I scroll down here, I think it says up to 9 watts. A little bit slow, but pretty useful. A little bit cheaper, though. How about $19.99 and you're going to get 15 watts of fast charging. So if you don't want to spend a whole lot for the Samsung branded one, Spigen has something for $15, which is going to work really well also. This one's a little bit cheaper at $19. It's one that I actually have in the house, and it's worked really well. It is only 10 watts, so keep that in mind. The Spigen one might be a better deal, but I'll throw this one out because it's one that I've been using, as you can see, for a little while now. So we talked about how this thing is capable of being much more than just a phone, and one of the easiest ways to really open up the world to what this thing is capable of is by using a USB-C hub. This is one I've had for a good while, and it's been very, very good. It's by Anker, and it gives you the option to have expandable storage in many different ways, as well as mouse, keyboard, HDMI out. This will work great with Samsung DeX. So this could be your DeX station. Plug your charger into it, plug in a mouse and a keyboard, like a wireless mouse and a keyboard, plug it into your TV or a monitor. When you plug in your Z Fold 4 to this, DeX opens up and you have a desktop environment right there. $34.99 is quite solid. Ugreen has another really good option too that adds on an Ethernet cable. So that will literally give you wired internet on your phone if you're using DeX. Two really, really good options. I have used both of them quite a bit. I really like this one too. So this takes the same idea as that. So you can still, plug everything into it and use it for DeX or use it for expandable storage, whatever you want to do. But it's also a stand. I actually have this one here handy because I do use it all the time. It is extremely stiff. Your phone is going to sit in it very, very well. Let's do the overhead camera here and you can see what I'm talking about. It sits right there in it. You've got your USB cable here. You plug in your charger to the back, so it passes through the charging. You can have your thing plugged in. You kind of have to have it slightly off center like that, but it still holds it just fine in there. Or you could rotate it around, and that's going to be okay too. Then you could have it hooked up to your TV or your monitor for DeX, mouse, and keyboard here, and have a second screen there as well for you to be using. That is also really, really nice, and it's something that I've used a ton. So you may have just saw whenever we went to the overhead camera a really basic, simple stand that I actually do use a lot as well. This thing is cheap. It folds up nice and small, Amazon Basics. And you just push the button, open it up to whatever angle you want it to be at. And this is where my Surface Duo and my Z Fold live a lot of the time because it's shorter, it's lower profile, so it doesn't come up and cover up my monitor. This thing is $11.99 on Amazon, and it's really hard to go wrong with it. So I talked a little bit about how this thing can be a workstation. So I've talked about the mouse and keyboard support with a USB-C hub and DeX and all these things, but what if you want to go another route, right? What if you don't want to use DeX, but you do want to use a mouse and keyboard on this thing, or at least a keyboard, so that you can get some typing done? Maybe you're using OneNote or some sort of note-taking app. I have a keyboard that I've had for a really long time. I know what you're thinking, Shane, that doesn't look much like a keyboard, but it is, because it opens up one way, it opens up another way, and then you have a pretty solid little Bluetooth wireless keyboard, and this thing is fantastic. You can have it on Amazon for about $40. I've had this thing for a really long time, and I've used it a ton. Battery life on it is fantastic. That thing lasts forever. Another option for a keyboard, really similar, but now you get a trackpad on the side, a little bit bigger package, but that trackpad might be important to you, so that maybe you're using it in conjunction with a stand like this, and you're not having to reach forward and use the touchscreen. You can just sort of trackpad around. And then of course Microsoft has their own single folding keyboard that might be solid as well. I'm not sure that it's worth $59. I really like mine for $40. $32 for that one's pretty solid as well though. Speaking of a mouse though, maybe you want to pair a mouse to it. It's really hard to go wrong when it comes to the Arc mouse, because when it's folded up like this, or I guess not folded, when it's just flat, it is such a small form factor and so easy to carry around. To turn it on, you just bend it, and now you've got a mouse. You set it on your table, and it's a mouse, and it works really, really well for $63. It's fantastic. You also do have an option like the Pebble for only $24. It is very, very thin as well. Doesn't fold or anything, but it is a lot cheaper. At that point, you can wind up with a situation where, maybe you've got this really simple basic stand. You've got your Arc mouse and you've got a keyboard, and how easy would that be to throw in a bag or something like that with your Fold in your pocket? And you've got like a pretty nice little computing situation here. You can open this thing up, take notes if you're in class or something like that. You might look a bit like a crazy person, but there's a lot of productivity in a very small package there. But let's stop talking about productivity. Let's talk about fun instead. What about a Bluetooth controller, right? This thing can absolutely game, whether it is streaming from Game Pass or Stadia, something like that, or playing native games. The 8BitDo SN30 Pro is a really, really good controller. I've got the N30 Pro, which is slightly different, and it is fantastic, right? It's a Super Nintendo controller with 2 joysticks, shoulder buttons on the back, USB charging, it's wireless, it's fantastic for $45. Really, really hard to go wrong there. But what about something you can keep in your pocket? Maybe all you want to do is play Pokemon or some sort of, older platform or nothing too crazy. For $20, this thing, I have it right over here, is absolutely adorable. It is tiny, and you can put this on a keychain if you, as I was saying, you can put this thing on a keychain if you wanted to. And yeah, you could pull this thing out, set this thing up with one of the kickstands or something like that on it, play some Super Mario World on a Super Nintendo emulator or something like that for $20. Why not? But if we jump up to the realm of the big boys, this is my favorite controller for the Z Fold. This is the Rig Nacon MGX, and it is really, really good. It is super, super stiff. The springs in here are fantastic. Biggest problem I have is that with this case, it is just too thick. Let me pop this one part of the case off, though, and I will show you how well it works. So it would look a lot better if I took both of these off, or if my case was more uniform, but you get the idea. It is a really good controller. The shoulder buttons are really solid. They're clicky up here on the bumpers. The buttons are really good. For Game Pass streaming, it is an Xbox controller, and that is exactly how it is recognized by something like Game Pass. Really, really good controller. And I've actually got a full review of it on this channel with the Fold 2 and Surface Duo. So if you want to see a full review of it and a deeper dive, that is a good option. I have another controller, though, to look at. This one is the GameSir X2. It is really, really similar, and it is also quite a bit cheaper. The sticks are bigger, so better for shooters, definitely. They both have USB-C charge, and of course, they are both wireless, and this thing works just as well, honestly, as the other one does. I just like the form factor of that one a bit better, but either one of them are going to fit over the Fold and work absolutely brilliantly as now a really massive, crazy handheld gaming system. We're coming down to the final stretch here. This is a really cool one I've had for a long time. USB-C on one side, HDMI on the other. Plug it into your phone, into the monitor, TV, whatever on the other side, and you're probably going to jump into DeX, but you could also not be in DeX and just play TV or something on there. Whatever reason, you might need to plug this thing into a TV or a monitor. There you go. And one of my most used accessories that I've had for so long, and it is so good, is this universal car mount. I put my Z Fold or my Surface Duo in this thing every day, multiple times, and it is fantastic. It will hold them in place because it's meant for a tablet, and it works really, really well. It goes into your CD tray, and then you turn this little thing and it opens up and it holds it in place. Now, the good news is I've had a lot of people ask me, you know, Shane, what about if I don't have a CD tray? Well, they make one as well that goes onto your window with a suction cup, and it has the same design overall. So $15 or $20, depending on which one you go with. I have been using this thing, as you can see here, for 2 years. And I use it every day. I used it earlier today. It has held up beautifully, beautifully well. And a Fold in front of, you know, there as your like entertainment console thing in your car, music, navigation, split screening, fantastic. So there you go. That is my pretty comprehensive list of favorite accessories for the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 4. I do own and use a lot of these things. So a lot of them, and I think I kind of called out which ones were which. A lot of these things I use myself on a daily basis and can pretty easily recommend to you. If you know of something I left out, please drop it in the comments. Give some suggestions to your fellow Z Fold owners. If you want to purchase any of these things, links to all of them will be in the description, and using those links is a great way to help directly support this channel. Guys, gals, thanks for watching. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe on your way out. I will see you on the next one, and until next time, stay nerdy, my friend.